Hey, welcome back to Home Studio Pro. You know, there's so many microphone videos here on YouTube, and a lot of them talk about makes and models and features, but there's not one that really encompasses the big question, what type of actual microphone should I be using? Like the form factor. There's a Shure SM58. It's a dynamic, yes, but it's a handheld mic. You actually hold it in your hand versus the microphone I'm talking into here, the U87AI. This is a studio large diaphragm condenser, typically on some type of boom arm. So what's best? What physical form factor of microphone is best optimally for my situation? That's what we're going to get into here on this video. By the way, since you're here, if you like this content, subscribe to the channel. Also, by the end of this video, if it provides you value, maybe a thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. Okay, so what types of microphone choices do we have? There's the handheld, there's the lavalier, there's the headset microphone, there's the studio microphone, and there's the shotgun microphone, which a lot of times is mounted on top of a boom pole, which is hanging over you, or you're underslung with the boom microphone. Doesn't really matter, but those are the different types of microphones which we will now get into here. Beginning with the handheld, and probably the most popular one out there is the Shure SM58. I used to have one of these. It's fine. It's common. If you're starting, it's about $100. It's so durable that you could literally hammer in a nail with it and it'll still work. So this is a great starter piece for a lot of people who just want to up their value with an XLR mic. Benefits of a handheld microphone, typically cost effective. I mean, they are generally you can get them down to $20. Don't get me wrong, but for the right quality, $100 or less is going to get you something of really good value and produce content for you for a long time. They're durable, like I said, so you don't need to worry about drops or portability or bringing them places. And oh yeah, by the way, portability, that's huge. You can take a handheld microphone places with you as well as use it in your home studio. This mic, the U87AI, it's living in this room and it's never leaving. You know what I'm saying? I do not take this anywhere. I don't want to risk anything bad happening to it because a large diaphragm condenser by nature is just a little bit more fragile. Okay, but you do need to worry about a handheld mic if you're thinking about recording with this. If I'm holding it all the time and I'm moving it around like a wand, will there be handling noise associated with it? If I have bad technique or I constantly am waving it, like a magic wand, I always say. Or how about guest mic technique? Sometimes they start here and the mic's here and that's great. But then as they talk, they're drifting or they're turning, looking this way and talking that way. And bad mic technique happens all the time with guests and handheld microphones. So consider that. There's a place and a purpose for them, but it's not always the perfect option. A lavalier mic. You see this so much across broadcast television, specifically news channels and studio situations. It's that little fuzzy thing that's on somebody's jacket or the top of their blouse, whatever they're wearing. It's clipped on, and it's little windscreen, little clip, and the microphone cable is usually hidden down somebody's shirt or whatever they're wearing. A lavalier mic, it's very common, and it's got some good benefits. Like number one, set it and forget it. You clip it on, and so long as it's not rubbing up against clothes or falling off, you're done. That's all you really need to do. It's going to move with me as I move. A lot of times if it's wireless, it'll pick me up wherever I go. Lavalier microphones, just like handhelds, pretty much don't, exceed, well, I take it back. You can get up in the $400 or $500 range or more, but typically a lavalier mic, a good one, a valuable one, comes at a decent price. $100 or less, you can get a really good lavalier mic. All that opposed to a studio mic, it's a big difference. A lavalier mic also is hands-free, right? So you can consider doing a cooking segment or doing something with your hands. You want a lavalier mic so that I don't need to worry about staying on position and my hands are absolutely free. I'm not holding anything. There's nothing else going on. I will say, though, with lavalier mics, typically their pickup patterns are more omnidirectional, so they're not as honed in on the sound or the speaker's voice. So sometimes you do pick up room noise. Also this, if you're not operating on a wireless lavalier system, the lav is not plugged into a wireless device, you're tied down, right? So in this case, here in the home studio, I do have the headphones on, and I guess I'm tied down to that. The headphones are plugged in. But the mic is just sitting here, so I can move all the way around. I could stand up if I want, take the headphones off, stand up. But a lavalier mic, a lot of times it's running off of me, if it's cabled, into something else. So if I get up, I'm kind of on a leash, unless it's wireless, right? So remember that the lavalier mic ties somebody down typically, unless it's on a wireless system. Okay, a headset microphone. There's I think that's the HMD 26 by Sennheiser. That's a broadcaster and a sportscaster's favorite. Headset mics are a good idea. We do see this a lot in live streaming and gaming because somebody's got their hands busy, right? So the benefits are this: an all-in-one design. You know how much I preach on this channel that you need to monitor your audio while you're recording it, while you're live streaming it. So the headset's got both. The earphones and the mic boom, typically right in front of you, all-in-one design. A lot of different options. They make ones that have the boom flip over this way or the other way, so you can have it on the right side or the left side. And it's a technique helper, right? If you have bad mic technique, if I'm somebody who's straying around like this, kind of like a lav, it stays with me. I turn my head, it stays with me. I look up, I look down, it stays with me. So as long as I'm not whispering then yelling, it fixes a lot of the mic technique issues that beginners have. I caution you in a couple ways with headset mics. Number one, they can be plosive city. What's a plosive? That's when I say things that have P's or B's in them, and I'm operating with good technique, but the air out of my mouth on a P blows into the microphone. I don't want to do it to this mic. But please bring pizza pronto. If I do that into the mic, it's going to blow air over the capsule. It's going to pop the capsule and disrupt the capsule. And the problem is, if my mic boom is so close to my mouth and that air coming out of my mouth is directly on the mic capsule, I'm going to have a lot of plosives. So you really need to position that boom carefully to avoid plosives. And that's something that typically with a handheld mic or a studio mic, you avoid more because of the distance. But with a headset, that thing is right there typically. So how to avoid plosives is important. Also, again, just like a lavalier mic, if you're on a headset, it's typically cabled and coiled and it's connected to something. So you are tied down into a physical location where you're standing or sitting. Okay, then there's the studio mic. This bad boy. Hey, it's like that old Spider-Man thing where they're like, I see you. This is the U87AI. It's one of a couple different studio mics I use here at home. Benefits of a studio mic: typically a large diaphragm condenser, sometimes a dynamic. It offers you the best audio quality, right? The biggest frequency response, usually the flattest frequency response. It sounds good. It sounds natural. They come at all different types of price points. And you could start in the lower end of sub $100, but I do feel like the best bang for your buck on a studio quality microphone and a condenser mic is probably in the $300 or less range. So it is going to cost you more, but it is going to sound that much better. I'm not kidding. The price points, again, are varied, though. I do want to spell this out. You can go from $300 to $3,000 pretty quick. And there's a lot of different levels in between. It also gives you the visual element, which some people appreciate. Honestly, some people don't like seeing a microphone in their videos for whatever reason. I'm here to tell you whatever sounds best is what you should do. And I have no problem seeing my mic or anybody else's mic in a video. I'll caution you and tell you that a studio mic also needs some other elements that you'll probably want to purchase, including a boom arm, right, to get this mic in position and close enough to me that I can actually operate with it. You're, again, not going to hold this with your hand. It's going to make a ton of handling noise. So you will need some way to mount it on a boom arm. Also, specifically, you will want a shock mount. A studio mic, typically a condenser, so sensitive to pick up every last noise. So right, if I'm tapping my desk like this on the boom arm, you can't hear it. There's no vibration, but even with the shock mount here, you can understand how quickly moving noises I might make are captured by this microphone. And last but not least, other investments for a studio mic likely include a treated space. If I used this fantastic mic in a bad acoustical spot, it's only going to magnify how bad the room sounds because it hears so well. Last but not least, the shotgun mic. This one has some specific use cases that might be different from the rest, but yeah, you could use one of these in your home studio. The benefits are that you might be able to have this out of the camera shot if that's what you're aiming to do, right? The shotgun can be set at a further distance and pick up directionally your audio because it's got a way more narrow pickup pattern. A shotgun mic being very directional is also important because it can reject reverberations and echoes and sounds in a room that you didn't want to be picked up, essentially by a large diaphragm condenser. Also, shotgun microphones typically have a very durable build. They were meant to be hung on the end of a boom pole and knocked around against a wall or two and hopefully not drop, but you understand they're built quite well as compared to something like a large diaphragm condenser. I'll caution you about shotgun microphones that they are designed to be used from further distances away from the subject, but the sound does get a little bit different. If I use a 416, for example, here in the home studio, and I'm essentially close talking it, the pickup and what it's going to hear will sound far different than if it is on a boom pole 5 feet away from me and it's gained up differently. So I do want to make that clear that they still do have the effect that they sound different based on microphone distance from the subject. And then gain structure, also important to know that if you're all over the microphone, you don't want it to be gained up to the same volume as if it were on a boom pole about 5 feet away. So shotgun mics are a lesser thought of option, but they're also a good option here in the home studio. So hopefully that answers your question. What type of microphone should you be using? And it also matters, what are you doing, right? What is the content of your video? What's going to happen in your video? Do you need some versatility if you're on a small budget? Maybe the SM58 is all you need, and you mount it on a boom arm at home. But then when you go make videos out on the road or out in the field, you can pull that off the boom arm, bring it with you. You can't do that here with the U87, but you can do that with the Shure SM58. So it's all up to you, but just to know that there's different types of mics out there. What kind do you need? Well, the answer is, what exactly are you doing with it? I know that's also another question. Subscribe to this channel for more content just like this. Thumbs up on this video if it provided you some value.